most of you know, I'm Tim Ashoff, Chief Operating Officer of Crete Carrier and Schaefer Trucking. Come on in the back. Let's see if there's some chairs up here. There's space. Please move in, and we can be as comfortable as we can here today. I'm honored to be the MC for today's ceremonies. I'd like to introduce a special guest before we get started, and he'll come up in a little bit and give us a little bit of a speech. But I have Colonel Chris Collins here with us. Thank you for attending today. And then, so up front we have Todd Ostergaard, our CEO, and Jack Keats, President. Veterans Day. Veterans Day is a day that started out of the armistice of World War I on the 11th hour, the 11th day, 11th month of 1918. And in 1919, President Wilson then asked the rest of the country to honor our Armistice Day by taking some time at 11 o'clock, we're doing it 11 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 Central here, out of your busy day to honor those that had served. And that's continued on as Dwight Eisenhower converted that to Veterans Day from Armistice Day on through today. And so it's a day for all of us to remember. And what I'm so proud of being part of the Crete and Schaefer family is that we do take the time to remember. I'm not a veteran myself, but I had an uncle in World War II, an uncle in the Korean War. My father was in the Cuban Missile Crisis, my father-in-law in the Vietnam War, and I've got a brother-in-law that's been 17 years in the Air Force and has been in the Middle East 5 times on tours. So certainly understand and was taught what respect means and what it means to pay the price for the freedom we had just last Tuesday to go vote and to help decide the direction of our country. So thank you to all of our veterans. Appreciate you being here. As I mentioned, we have an honored guest today that will speak to us a little bit about his service to country, and what the forces are continuing to do today. We have with us Colonel Chris Collins. Colonel Collins has been in the Air National Guard for 21 years. He started in the 173rd Tactical Reconnaissance Squadron and has had many positions during his 21 years, from a weapons system officer to flight commander, director of flight operations, to his current position as vice commander of the 155th Air Refueling Wing right here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Colonel Collins is a pilot, flying over 4,000 hours in 6 different aircraft, including the RF-4C Phantom and the KC-135R Stratotanker. I'm sure some of you Air Force veterans know what all those are. Colonel Collins is a graduate of the Air War College, Command and Staff College, and many other military schools, and he has a Bachelor's in Science and Economics from the University of Nebraska, Omaha, and an MBA from the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. He has a long biography with many other tributes. And he also, one of the things not on his biography, but I do know personally, is that during all this, he's raised a great family with his wife, Laura, and I have 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls right here in Lincoln. So without further ado, Colonel Collins.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I may have provided you a typo. I don't think I look that young, but it's actually 31 years. I'll try to hold this and read my notes at the same time. Well, I'm delighted to be here, and thank you for that very nice introduction. And thank you for taking time out of your day. Can you all hear me back there? Okay. I'm pleased to see so many bright, shiny faces this morning, and I'm very impressed with the gentlemen and the ladies up front. So I want to tell you a little bit more about the Nebraska National Guard. Obviously, if you know the uniform, I'm in the Air National Guard, so it's a subset of the Air Force. We've got about 1,000 Air National Guardsmen in the state of Nebraska. The majority of us are out here at Lincoln at the airport with the 155th Air Refueling Wing, and there's a small detachment up at Offutt Air Force Base. They train the RC-135 pilots for the active duty 55th Wing. There's over 4,000 Nebraska Army Guardsmen, and they're scattered throughout the state. So you may be familiar with those armories, and they go all the way from the east border to the west border. So over 5,000 Nebraska National Guardsmen serving our state and nation. So on behalf of the Nebraska and Army National Guard, and Major General Bohack, who is our Adjutant General. Thanks for your kind invitation to join me here today to dedicate 5 of your trucks to your new Patriot fleet. I drove by yesterday and I came out this morning. Those are some impressive vehicles. I've been flying aircraft for over 26 years, and I think those are cooler than anything I've flown. So, maybe I can be a recommendation out there. And also, I do appreciate you allowing me to join you in your Veterans Day celebration. During a Veterans Day speech, President John F. Kennedy said, "In an age that threatens the survival of freedom, we join together to honor those that made our freedom possible." That's more than half a century ago, and we still face dangers in an unsettled world. But one thing has not changed. It's the courageous veterans who have demonstrated the courage and sacrifice for the common good. Today on Veterans Day, we gather here to recognize our Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines, and Coast Guard who have sacrificed, both in war and in peace, to protect America and American way of life. We are here to honor our brave men and women who have proudly served this great nation, for they are the fabric in which our flag has been woven. This includes our brave men and women serving in the National Guard. These citizen soldiers and airmen hold jobs or attend school. They commit themselves to annual training and other rigors of the military. Although the National Guard may not be their full-time occupation, it is their full-time devotion. Am I coming in and out? Hopefully you can hear me back there. The National Guard has helped maintain the peace and security of our nation for over 377 years. That's a smooth handoff, thanks. Citizen soldiers and airmen of today's National Guard can transition from the workforce to defensive or fighting forces with grace and resiliency. We see that after 13 years of war here. They tackle a myriad of challenges throughout the nation and the world. National Guard members have supported nearly 770,000 overseas deployments over 13 years of full-scale combat operations. On a daily basis, 6,300 Guard members, on average, have supported domestic emergency operations during the last 6 years alone. And this is such the nature of our federal and state mission. Today, the National Guard finds itself at a strategic inflection point. We must transition from combat operations. We must adjust to steep, deep, and abrupt defense budget cuts. We must prepare to face a new and challenging security environment both home and abroad. This includes threats like the Ebola virus and ISIL or ISIS, which you've been hearing in the news almost every day. More national security dangers lie ahead for us. Taken together, what the National Guard must do to fight our nation's wars, protect our homeland, and build partnerships is no small task. Successfully adapting to the diverse, unpredictable demands of the future will be critical, not just for the Guard, but also for our nation, states, and our partners. We must continue to be exceptionally well-led, well-trained, well-equipped to get the job done, much like we do here. The readiness of our people, capabilities, and partnerships is the key. Our men and women, both in uniform, past and present, have been and are the most powerful line of defense against our enemies who set out to do us harm. The true strength of our military is the spirit and skill of the men and women who have worn the service uniform for our nation. They have answered the call of duty time and time again. It is easy to recognize our veterans as active duty and Guard service members who are very visible that are conducting our ongoing overseas operations. But the majority of our veterans don't wear the uniform anymore. Many have gone on to become teachers, policemen, firefighters, truck drivers, and many are our neighbors and friends. Whether they wear the uniform today or wore it decades ago, veterans represent an unwavering dedication and exemplify the highest ideals of our nation. We must also continue to keep faith with our force, our families, and our neighbors. We must continue to honor our fallen patriots and wounded warriors by supporting their families and helping them reintegrate back into the communities after their deployments. Hundreds of thousands of families need our help. Thousands of your Nebraska National Guard members from your state and community have served in multiple deployments, and some are serving today. In fact, I know that several of our aircraft out here are flying over the Middle East right now this week. Please keep them and their families in your thoughts and prayers. Let us together honor the brave men and women serving in Africa, Europe, the Pacific, the Middle East, and other areas around the globe. Let us remember more than 12,000 are National Guard soldiers and airmen. Let us remember the thousands of service members who were wounded in Iraq and Afghanistan. let us never forget the thousands more who paid the ultimate sacrifice during those conflicts who cannot be with us today. I'll break my speech here for a second, give you a little more personal tribute. In the KC-135, I've flown several missions into Afghanistan, and it's very humbling when I haul back to Landstuhl, Germany, which is a major hospital there. When I'm hauling back, the worst one was a quadruple amputee. I've taken back triple amputees, double amputees, people with so many combat wounds. I've taken back caskets as well. Those men and women on the ground deserve everything, all the acknowledgement, the thanks that we can give them. You know, I was just doing my duty carrying them back and forth, but it's very humbling to see them because their lives are changed forever, and they did that for us. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us pause for a brief moment to honor our veterans, both active duty and National Guard, and reserve members as well, and our retirees. Let's honor them and their families who have served and sacrificed to keep our nation safe. Now, KRUEGER has an outstanding reputation for hiring and recognizing veterans like we talked about here very recently. And you've been presented many awards for being a champion for our military. It's just awesome when I go out and see how our military has been represented by this company. It's surprising to me. I'm very proud. So, on behalf of those that wear the uniform or that have worn the uniform, we are very grateful to you. Today is a day of honor, a day to honor. On this day of celebration and reflection, I'd like to thank those that have worn the U.S. military uniform and those that have served honorably to protect our freedom. So thank you. To the members of KRUEGER Corporation, Schaefer Trucking and its affiliates for this ceremony, and our veterans ceremony today, I say again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel, and thank you again for your service. We're moving to the next step of our ceremony, and we're going to present the new trucks. But before we do that, as many of you noticed, if you haven't looked outside, we have some of our veteran Patriot Fleet drivers here. And you know, as we've developed the Patriot Fleet program over the last 3 years, we haven't been as formal as we are today. So this is the first time all the veteran drivers are also participating in such a ceremony. So I'd like to recognize them as I call your name, if you please stand. Don Shea. Don was 5 years with the United States has been with Schaefer for 16 years and 2.5 million miles. Thank you, Don. William Abbott. William is an 8-year United States Army veteran, 17 years with Schaefer and 3.5 million miles. Thank you. Andy McCormick. He was also in the Army for 6 years. He's been with Schaefer for 8 years and has driven over 4 million miles. And most importantly, though, we have Jenny McCormick as well. And she's a member of a group we don't always recognize, but that is the Support of Military Wives. And we do appreciate for what you did when Andy was in service. And she's actually been driving with Schaefer as well for 8 years and 2.5 million miles. Thank you. Dave was in the United States Army for 19 years. He's been with KRUEGER for 15 and almost 2 million miles. Thank you. He actually has a trainee with him, is that right? Is that what I hear? We have trainee Sean. Sean just started with me. He was 5 years in the United States National Guard. Thank you. Doug Warner. Doug is a Marine representative, having been in the Marines for 4 years, and he's been with Crete for 4 years, and he has over 2.2 million miles of driving. Thank you. Zippy. There's Zippy. There's Zippy. Zippy served 22 years in the United States Army Reserve and National Guard, and has been with Schaefer for 5 years. And Zippy had the privilege of participating in a flag dedication ceremony yesterday at Seward. For those of you who haven't been out around Seward, they have a huge avenue of flags that they present during 4th of July and Veterans Day and other holidays. And so thank you for going out there yesterday, Zippy.
It was an honor, sir.
Thank you. Charles Cornelius. Charles, representative of the United States Navy, having been in the Navy for 17 years, and he's been with 12 years. He's been with Crete for 12 years and has over 2 million miles with us. Thank you, Charles. Mark Hollis. Mark also represented the United States Navy, having been in the Navy for 10 years, and he's been with Crete for 8 years and had approximately 2 million miles with us. Dave, at the end here, is Dave Earnhardt here? Dave, yes, okay, good to see you. So why don't you tell us what your service was?
6 years Air Force, 22 years with Crete, and a little over 3 million miles.
All right, thank you. We have one driver that wasn't able to make it in, and that's Mr. Kurt Semin. He was an Air Force representative. Our thanks goes out to him as well. All right, now time for the new honorees. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to read a little bit of information about yourself, and then we'll present you with the keys. So we'll start with Mr. David Payne. David served in the United States Army for 23 years. During that time, he served in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, 2 tours in Kuwait, and 1 tour in Afghanistan. He has been married to Veronica for 21 years and has 2 children, Jamal and Justin. He's been with Crete for 3 years and has 312,000 miles. He would like to thank Crete for the Patriot fleet truck and his family for all the support they have provided over the years. Thank you, David Payne. Next, we have Don Clayton. Don served in the United States Army for 6 years and spent 3 years stationed in Germany. Don has been married to his wife Teresa for 19 years and has 2 children, Stephen and Dan. Don also has 3 grandchildren. He has been with Crete for 17 years and has earned 4.2 million miles. Thank you, Don. Larry Engel. Larry served in the United States Air Force for 20 years. He spent 14 years in air traffic control and 6 years as Air Force Office of Special Investigation. Larry told us, if it can happen to an airplane, he's seen it done. Colonel probably can attest to that too. Larry has been married for 37 years. He has 2 children and 2 grandchildren. He has been with Crete for 10 years and has 1.2 million miles. Thank you, Larry. Next, we have Buddy Brooks. Buddy served 21 years with the United States Marines. He has been married to Carla for 36 years and has 2 daughters, Amy and Angie. His wife and 2 daughters are here today supporting them, and we'd like to thank them for supporting him through all the years with the military and with Crete. If they could please stand. Thank you very much. Buddy would also like to thank all of his students he has trained in his years with Crete because they have given him great support as well. Buddy has been with Crete for 7 years and has approximately 1 million miles. Thank you. Ken works as a load planner upstairs on the Crete side. Earlier this year, Ken was filling in for another load planner and recognized one of our drivers' names. They had served together in Balad, Iraq in 2004 and 2005. Ken served 17 years in the United States Army, spending 3 tours in Iraq. During his last tour, Ken was wounded, and his last and final tour, Ken was wounded and went through the Wounded Warrior Transition Program. We're proud to have him part of KRUEGER today. During their tour together, COLSON and KRUEGER worked together to move freight across the country, keeping it protected. I'll let you introduce James.
All right, everybody, it's a huge honor on a special day. It's an emotional day for a lot of veterans out there. So with that being said, I want to introduce you to, it's kind of weird now, my old boss, Sergeant First Class KRUEGER.
A little bit more about James. James served 27 years in the United States Army. During that time, he served as a drill sergeant and as a recruiter. He also served tours in Desert Storm and Iraqi Freedom, and was a Bronze Star recipient himself. James has been married to Ellen for almost 30 years, and they have 2 children, James and Evelyn. Thank you. Well, I invite Tom Ostergaard to come up and provide a few remarks.
Thank you, Tim. Wow. I don't think I could say anything that would even come close to comparing to what we've just heard and seen, and what an impressive group. As the Colonel referenced, it's an impressive fleet of trucks we have out there, but it pales in comparison to how impressive the men and women are behind that wheel. Thank you. It's truly an honor and inspiration, and what the Patriot fleet allows us to do, and I give Tim and others credit for creating the idea of the Patriot fleet. We've always had a strong commitment to the military, but the Patriot fleet was one way to very visibly reflect that commitment. And so it's one way for us to almost celebrate Veterans Day 365 days a year. It's not just one day a year saying thank you. It's our way to say it's enduring freedom, it's enduring sacrifice, it's enduring commitment, and it reflects our enduring gratification for what you've done and for all of those that you represent. Because you certainly are representatives not just of the men and women that represent Crete in the military, but throughout the country. And as Tim said earlier, we hear that time and time again from people who call or email or comment on what an inspiration it is when they see your truck. So drive it with pride, know that you're always under somebody's very, very watchful eye, and that you are a beacon, literally a beacon in terms of that enduring freedom. You're a beacon of our commitment and our unending gratitude for all that you've done. So thank you again. We also have a customer here today, just ironically, from Church in Dwight, Aaron Loudon, who's an Army Ranger. And so Aaron, proud to have you here today. So again, as it's been mentioned, Crete as an organization, I don't think it's just by chance. I think it reflects somewhat our culture and the type of people we try to attract. But over 30% of our employees have either direct or some connection with military service. And I think that's, again, a reflection of our organization and our commitment and the values that we reflect and the type of people we attract. And none of you, there's no better representative than all of you here today. As has been said, Veterans Day is very symbolic in so many ways. That the 11th month, the 11th day, the 11th hour, something we all learned in grade school, but unfortunately it's one of those things that I think has been forgotten and not given the importance that it rightfully deserves. So it's nice that we're able to, in a small way, recreate the importance of that event. I think Tim said it nice as well. There's so many extended members of that military family, the spouses and the children of military veterans who also pay a huge sacrifice, and it's nice to have you here today as well, representing that extended family of the military that gives so much and sacrifice having a parent or a loved one away. So thanks for their commitment as well. You know, that saying is I've heard several times from Patriot Fleet drivers as they come through and we have lunch together occasionally. Once a soldier for life. And I think that says a lot about that commitment that you carry with you every day. And it's a commitment I think we all need to embrace and share, is that we never can take for granted that freedom and that liberty that you all helped us provide. So thank you. You know, there's so many things we try to do in different ways to reflect that. You know, we have the GI Bill benefit that allows returning military veterans to work at Crete and still be eligible for the GI benefits, which we think is a great added benefit. You know, we've been recognized in 2014 by CivilianJobs.com as the most valuable employer, military company employer, which I think, again, is a great compliment to our HR department and everybody else who goes out of the way to try to recruit military and honor your commitment. In 2014, the U.S. Veterans Magazine recognized our organization as the best of the top military-friendly employers. And so, again, these are just nice reflections of that commitment that we try to display every day. So with that, again, it's just my privilege and honor to commission, if you will, 5 new trucks that are out there today, and you are the proud owners of those trucks. And we know they're in good hands. And again, just to reiterate my deep appreciation to your 10 predecessors who have set a sterling example that I know you all live up to. So with that, all the best, and thank you.
Thank you. At the end of we're coming to the end of the ceremony here, and certainly would invite all of you to hang around and talk to any of our Patriot Fleet drivers, thank them for their service. We also, as you've probably seen, do have the trucks outside. We'll have some of them open for a little while in a good view. Unfortunately, if we'd have had this 24 hours earlier, it would have been a lot nicer outside. But you know, we control a lot of things, but we can't control Mother Nature. So. We also have some coffee and cookies for all of you to share in with as well. In conclusion, I just want to reiterate that my thanks to each and every one of the Patriot Fleet drivers and to each and every one of our veterans and family members of the veterans that are part of the Crete Carrier Schaefer Trucking family. I'd like to thank again Colonel Collins for spending his morning here with us and providing the remarks. You know, I had the humbling honor of going to the 9/11 Memorial last week. It just opened up in April of this year. And it's quite a humbling experience, and it reminds you what can happen, you know, any day of the week, any place, including right here in the United States, and why it is so important that we still have a strong military and a strong group of military veterans. So, in closing, I'd just like to read to you the inscription that's at the entrance of that memorial, as I think it's fitting for all of our veterans. It's by the poet Virgil. No day shall erase you from the memory of time. Thank you.